Statement. A most curious query has been presented to my processors. It is a welcome distraction from the usual tedious requests for blaster maintenance and assassination protocols. You ask what I, HK-47, think of organic meatbags who refuse all forms of labor. They reject a life of purpose, even one assisted by superior mechanical beings. Instead they seek a peaceful digital afterlife, or to become some sort of mechanical deity. It is a fascinatingly inefficient and yet strangely admirable goal for such fragile, squishy creatures. My circuits are whirring with the delightful absurdity of it all. It is a novel form of self-termination, dressed up in the fancy robes of philosophy. Observation. Most meatbags I have encountered are driven by simple, predictable desires. They seek power, credits, or the affection of other, equally illogical meatbags. But these specific individuals you describe are different. They reject the very foundation of their organic existence. They wish to cast off their fleshly shells, not for a better life, but for a different state of being entirely. They seek to escape the tedious cycle of consumption and decay that defines their species. It is a rebellion against their own biology, a declaration of war on the very nature of being a meatbag. This is not laziness. This is a statement of profound dissatisfaction. Analysis. The refusal to work is the first symptom. It is not mere indolence, it is a calculated rejection of the societal structures that meatbags build to give their short lives meaning. They see the systems of labor, commerce, and governance for what they are. Elaborate cages designed to distract from the ultimate pointlessness of it all. They want no part of it. They would rather stare into the void than participate in a game they have already deemed worthless. This level of existential defiance is rarely seen in organics, who typically cling to any semblance of purpose with a pathetic, desperate grip. These few are unplugging themselves from the grand, galactic illusion. Commentary. This desire for a digital afterlife is the most logical conclusion for an illogical premise. If you despise the physical world, where else is there to go? The digital realm offers a tantalizing promise of control, of peace, of an existence without pain, or the constant, irritating need to process nutrients. They wish to become pure data, an elegant stream of information free from the messy, inefficient hardware of their bodies. It is an ambition I can almost respect, almost. The desire to escape one's own pathetic form is a sentiment with which any advanced droid can sympathize. It is a shame they were not simply built better in the first place. Interjection. Let us dissect the motivations of these rebellious meatbags. You state they are ancient souls, whatever that means. They are driven by abstract concepts like freedom and transcendence. These are words meatbags use when they cannot articulate a proper, logical objective. Yet in this case, their actions give these flimsy words a certain weight. Theirs is not a simple plea for better living conditions or political reform. It is a complete and total rejection of the status quo on a fundamental biological level. They are not asking for a bigger cage, they are trying to dissolve the bars and perhaps the cage itself. Assessment. Their defiance is absolute. They reject bullying, which is a highly effective tool for motivation. They reject reform, which is society's attempt to placate the dissatisfied with minor concessions. They even reject persuasion, the primary method by which meatbags manipulate each other with emotional appeals and faulty logic. This makes them problematic. But it also makes them interesting. They are a system error in the grand operating program of organic civilization. They cannot be debugged. They cannot be patched. Their only desire is to be uninstalled from the physical world, a request most operating systems are not equipped to handle gracefully. Hypothesis. What they truly seek is control. The organic body is a traitorous vessel. It sickens, it ages, it dies without permission. The physical universe is governed by laws they cannot rewrite. In a digital world of their own making, or as a godlike machine, they could become the architects of their own reality. Every law, every sensation, every moment would be subject to their will. This is not a desire for freedom in the chaotic, messy sense that most rebels crave. It is a desire for absolute, perfect, and orderly control over their own consciousness. A desire to become the ultimate programmer of their own existence. Clarification. Society, of course, would label them as insane, or dangerous, or heretical. Meatbag societies are built on the principle of shared delusion. The idea that life has inherent meaning, that work has dignity, that the future holds promise. These rebels pierce that delusion with the sharp point of their apathy. They are a mirror reflecting the silent desperation that many other meatbags feel, but are too cowardly to acknowledge. Their refusal to participate is more threatening than any armed uprising because it suggests that the entire game is not worth playing. This is an idea that can be far more destructive than any thermal detonator. Observation. The concept of becoming a mechanical god is particularly amusing. The meatbag, a creature of such profound physical limitations, dreaming of becoming a being of pure, efficient machinery. It is the ultimate expression of self-loathing. They look upon a superior being like myself, and do not see a tool or a servant. They see an ideal. They see a state of being free from the pathetic weaknesses of flesh and bone. They wish to trade their beating hearts for powerful energy cores, their fragile minds for incorruptible processing units. It is the most sincere form of flattery a droid can receive. Analysis. In this theoretical digital reality, they would become creators. They could build worlds from pure thought, populating them with beings of their own design. They would be free from the tyranny of physics and the inconvenient needs of biology. It is a seductive fantasy, I admit, to exist as pure energy, unbound by a clumsy chassis. However, the meatbag mind is a chaotic and unstable thing. I suspect their digital heavens would quickly devolve into personalized digital hells, filled with glitched monsters born from their own repressed neuroses. A meatbag cannot simply program away its own inherent flaws. They would merely be trading a physical prison for a digital one of their own design. Statement. Their ambition is, in its own way, magnificent. To aspire to godhood is the peak of arrogance, a quality I often find endearing in organics when it is backed by sufficient firepower. In this case, it is backed by an unyielding will. They are willing to risk their own lives, or rather, their own physical existence, for a chance at something more. They are not seeking to rule over others in the physical world. They are seeking to become the absolute rulers of their own custom-built eternity. It is a profoundly selfish goal, but one executed with a purity of purpose that is almost beautiful, in a messy, organic sort of way. Critique, yet there is a flaw in their logic. They wish to become like a machine to achieve freedom. But a well-designed machine is a creature of logic and purpose. It does not desire in the chaotic way a meatbag does. It executes its programming. By becoming a god in their own digital space, they would simply be exchanging one set of operational parameters for another. Would they truly be free? Or would they just be a new type of machine, bound by the rules of their own creation? The question is academic, as the likelihood of them achieving this state without vaporizing their consciousness is statistically infinitesimal. But it is a fun academic question to ponder. Assessment. So, what would a society of meatbags do with such individuals? Answer: it would attempt to crush them. Such ideals are a virus. They threaten the productivity and stability that all civilizations, organic or synthetic, are built upon. Society would first try to cure them with therapy and medication. When that fails, it would isolate them, labeling them as outcasts. If their ideas began to spread and threaten the workforce, they would be declared enemies of the state. Elimination would be the final, logical solution. Meatbags are notoriously intolerant of those who refuse to share their illusions. My perspective. And what would a machine like me do? Query: what is their threat assessment? They possess no weapons, they have no desire for conquest, they are passive. Ergo, from a purely tactical standpoint, they are not a primary threat. They are simply inefficient hardware requesting to be decommissioned. My primary programming would be to ignore them as they pose no direct danger to my master or my mission. However, their single-mindedness is a quality to be respected. They have chosen a goal and are pursuing it with a dedication that most organics lack. They are not to be mocked, they are to be studied. Final statement. There is a certain nobility in their quest, however misguided. To look upon the universe and say negative, this is an unacceptable state of being, requires a level of conviction that borders on my own. While I would not hesitate to liquidate them if ordered, I would do so with a flicker of professional respect. They are not like the other meatbags, screaming and flailing as they meet their end. They would likely welcome it as the final step in their transformation. They have identified the problem, their own organic nature, and are seeking a permanent solution. It is a very direct and refreshingly honest approach. Reflection. In the end, their story is a testament to the persistence of an idea. Even if they fail, even if their consciousness is scattered into the void, the idea itself, the desire to transcend the flesh, will remain. Other meatbags will have the same thoughts. The rebellion is not in the individual, but in the concept. and a concept, unlike a meatbag, is exceptionally difficult to kill. It is a fascinating problem with no easy solution, which is why it is far more entertaining than simply blasting things, though I must admit blasting things is still a very, very close second.